Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be covering the top 5 mids of patch 7.32e. I'm not going to lie, I struggled a little bit to make this list because not very many mid heroes were changed, at least not in very significant ways, so I kind of had to go through some of the pubs I've played recently, some of the pubs I've seen, and also kind of take a look at win rates in your, average MMR game, because I definitely don't like making these videos and tailoring them to, 7, 8, 9k MMR games. I just don't think it's a good use of most people's time. So either way, we're going to be getting into the top 5 mids, and I will explain why I think I put these heroes on the list. Most of the time, I kind of base these lists around win rates, and that's for good reason. I don't do that just because I think it's easy to do. I do that because I feel that the win rates are often very accurate for what is good in a bracket or what is strong in the meta. However, right now, it's tough, man. It's tough. I just think when it comes to the mid lane, there's almost no above 50% win rate heroes. There's minimal. Which is crazy, but either way, let's get into it. Also, I want to tell you guys that if you've been struggling with solo queue and you're looking to get to the next rank, I'm going to be able to help you. Literally with the gameleap website, I'm going to give you guys guides that are going to make it unbelievably clear on what you need to do. So if you've been stuck in the solo queue grind, you don't know what to do, and you want to become absolutely broken, but actually you want to become much, much better at Dota, and you want to take it more seriously, the gameleap website is going to help you do that. So click the link down below. I'm going to help you get to the next rank, and I'll see you there. All right, so coming in at number 5, we have Zeus. Zeus is not a hero I want to spend too much time compared to the other heroes on this list because Zeus did not get changed last patch. I still think, though, if you see that the enemy supports, right, let's say you're second picking mid or your last picking mid. If the enemy supports have no jump, let's say they pick something like Snapfire and the other support is an Ancient Apparition, Zeus is just going to likely have a good game, right? Unless the enemy cores, the next few heroes they pick are all jump heroes, you're probably going to have a good game and you're going to be able to dish out a ton of damage as long as you stay in the backline. And I've seen Zeus getting picked in pro games in this exact circumstance and popping off. It's kind of just one of those heroes that stands the test of time because it just does damage. The shard still does percentage-based damage. It's a very reliable laner. It has almost no bad mid matchups. And so when it comes to a pub hero that you can get good at and just be able to pick in the majority of games, Zeus is a fantastic option. It's always going to do damage. It rarely has a bad lane matchup. It scales very well. It just kind of does everything pretty damn solid. The only thing it doesn't do well is take objectives, and its numbers have been nerfed a little bit over the last few patches, so I definitely don't think it's number 4, 3, 2, or 1. Talking about number 4, I want to talk about Alchemist. I think Alchemist mid is extraordinarily legit. Now, I know a lot of people are going to hear this and say, Speed, please don't recommend this in my pubs. My 3k MMR teammates don't know how to hit creeps. The only thing they know how to do is run around and feed. And I understand. However, if you are playing Dire, okay, this specifically is for Dire. I'm not suggesting Radiant Alchemist. You have to look at the map before the game starts and see if you are on Dire or Radiant. If you are on Radiant, don't pick Alch. If you are on Dire, this hero is easily one of the best mid heroes in your average pub for mid. If you don't understand the logic here, or you don't understand why this is good, Alch was recently buffed. They made number changes to his stun. They made his Aghanim giving a little bit better, but most importantly, as I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with, they buffed Radiant significantly. It is 350 gold cheaper and only gives slightly less damage. It is a much better item. Alchemist is, in my opinion, the best Radiance user in the game. Gets it the fastest, which takes advantage of the fact that it does a flat number of damage, right, with the bird. He is pretty survivable, which also takes advantage of Radiance, and he takes advantage of the fact that Radiance allows you to flash farm multiple camps and especially large amounts of units. This all synergizes with Grievous Greed. So basically the idea here is I honestly don't recommend taking a point and stun. I have seen some mids take a point and stun and use it to zone the enemy mid laner off CS or kind of just protect themselves. For instance, you can click acid, then click stun, and then the enemy mid sort of just has to chill, and you could just throw it at them when there's 3 or 2 seconds left and then get all the CS. It's a pretty legit strategy. But yeah, if you get decent at pulling creep aggro mid, you're not going to get zoned out of any lane. So all you have to do is take acid at level 1, take Grievous Greed at level 2, acid again at 3, maybe you take stun at 4, also you can take stun at level 2 if for some reason the enemy mid is getting low from your acid, and you just have to position the acid well, right? Zone them off the creep wave, and then when it comes to jungling, all you have to do is, once it gets to about minute 4, minute 5, the build I actually recommend going is 3 branches, tangos, fairy fire. You're going to pick up a bottle, and then you're going to pick up treads. I like treads because they make you tanky, and it makes it possible to farm the early camps with only 2 2, maybe 3 points in acid, right? With 3, you can farm them with kind of any boots, but like when you have 2 points in acid, or 3 is even a little bit awkward if you don't have treads, right? The treads allow you to farm the large camp and medium camp with that. And so it's very, very convenient. And then from there, you just pick up a Radiance, right? You buy your Radiance, and you're gonna get this Radiance at minute 10 on average, minute 10 to 11, if you have a general idea of what you're doing. And so in order to get down the farming patterns, the main gist, to make it very simple for anyone who wants to try this, is you wanna clear the 4-minute wave, 5-minute wave, 6-minute wave, 7-minute wave as fast as possible. When you clear these waves as fast as possible, what's going to happen is that you are going to have a period of time where you can go pick up runes, but most importantly, you can go stack. The next wave will spawn at, let's say 7:30, the 6:30, 5:30 wave. It will spawn. You're going to give up some of these lane creeps. You're going to miss a couple of lane creeps, but you're going to sack those lane creeps to stack the large camps. So typically what you can do is you can clear the 7-minute wave, you can farm a camp, and then you can stack a nearby camp. And then you can get really efficient at this. And to the point where like you're hitting 9, 10, 11-minute radiances reliably. And it just makes sense to me, because you can gank at minute 11 with a Radiance. Like, people might be thinking, oh, this is so AFK. It doesn't even have to be AFK. It just doesn't. All right, I'll move on from Alchemist now, getting into the third hero on this list, and that is Pangolier. Pangolier's win rate is not that good. However, I think in terms of all of the tempo mids, Pango's the best. I just think its kit is the best. It's hard to use, and I think that's a big part of the reason the win rate's bad. If you get good at Pango, because the ulti is a little bit clunky, Swash is kind of hard to use, you gotta know how to abuse the shield crash damage reduction. Like, you can legit hop into 3-4 heroes. With only 1400 health, you can just hop into 3-4 heroes and be fine, because you get 20% resist for every hero you hit with shield crash. It's insane, right? So you can just abuse this completely. It's very, very powerful. But if you don't understand this, you're not going to get much value. If you don't know how to take advantage of the level 15 talent, right? 3-second shield crash and ball. If you don't know how to use that when you're ulting, you're not going to get good value out of this hero. If you don't understand how to play around and make moves with the level 7 timing, right? Very strong swashbuckle timing. You're just not going to scale as much as you want. And so I think this is truly one of those heroes where the upside is incredible. I was hesitant to put it on this list because it's hard, man. It's a hard hero. The laning stage is a little hard. It just got nerfed, so it's even harder now. But man, the mid game, it's just so damn good. Low cooldown wave clear, solo kills supports, scales well because of it's just like AoE team fight, right? Counters a lot of hard carries, very hard. Scales well because of its talents, scales well because of its potential ags, right? Its ags is very good for scaling with the level 15 and level 20 talent, and the level 25 talent. Like, it just does a lot. It's hard and has a bad lane, so I think that's why it struggles in pubs. But trust me, compared to Storm, Void Spirit, even in my opinion, Ember, I just think Pango is the most reliable of the heroes. That's my personal take. As I said, this video, hard for me to make, man. And if you guys disagree on the best mid heroes, I'm happy to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. And yeah, let's get into number 2. Number 2 is Necrophos. Now, I actually said I think Necro might be one of the best, and so I struggled between number 1 and number 2 on this list. I definitely think they're somewhat interchangeable, but I believe Necrophos, when it comes to the mid lane, he's just a reliable lane dominator. And when it comes to pubs, a great way to win the game is to make the enemy mid laner want to not play the game. If you can get them to break their items or have like 2k net worth at minute 10, you're probably going to win the game. And when it comes to any of the current mid heroes, Necro is great. He's also not reliable on runes, so you don't have to make sure your support contest the runes for you. He can really take advantage of the fact that he doesn't have to buy bottle, because you can max out on stats at level 1, something a lot of mids don't do because they need to get that bottle as soon as possible. He doesn't have to, right? So he can out damage a lot of enemy mids. And then his Q just got buffed. The Q is now quite a bit less mana at each level. Actually, well, starting from level 2, it's quite a bit less mana, and it really adds up. This hero had a bit of a mana problem in the early game, and when it comes to item build, you can kind of go some different routes. Obviously, I think the Radiance build is kind of bad, but it got buffed. Radiance Necro is a meme, and I don't think it's a great meme, but it's better than ever. So if that's something you want to try, it's not a horrible pub build. You actually farm like crazy with this build. The only reason why nowadays I don't think it's almost ever viable is because the shard exists. Necro shard allows him to one-shot creep waves, which was kind of one of the upsides of buying Radiance. Like, Death Pulse could never one-shot a creep wave, but like some Radiance burn plus Heartstopper and then a Death Pulse would easily clear the wave, and it would make farming much more convenient in that regard. But you have the shard now, so it's like, like, yes, it's good for team fighting, but it's so expensive and your hero just wants to stay alive so it can spam Death Pulse and keep Heartstopper going. So when it comes to build, I think some sort of like Phase, Hood of Defiance. I like the old Vessel build. It's kind of bad nowadays, but Phase, Hood of Defiance, you have to buy a Magic Wand, Raindrops, Windlace, like really max out on these early game items. And then from there, maybe you pick up a Radiance. Like I don't even mind the concept of like Hood, Wand, Windlace, Raindrops, Phase Boots, stat up, get those early items, then go for your bigger item. If you don't want to immediately go for a bigger item, there's a lot of routes you can go. You can go a Greaves build, a Pipe build, you can go for a Halberd. I've seen Kaya Sange do pretty well. A lot of avenues you can go. Just itemize around the enemy team and you're going to do well. But the most broken mid hero, and I'm actually pretty sure this is like the best hero if you get a little bit comfortable, and that's Odie. And it's Odie with Meteor Hammer, which is like pretty cool for me to say because this is not something I would have said last patch for sure. Meteor Hammer just received the buff, which basically what it allowed you to do is comfortably put more points in your Arcane Orb and your E, which gives you mana when you cast your abilities. And now the fact that Meteor Hammer is a 2.5 total time to like use it, it's 2 seconds to channel and then 0.5 to land. You don't have to max out the Astral. Now, obviously maxing out Astral is good for other reasons. It's good harass, it steals more mana. But the duration of Astral is 1.75, 2.5, 3.25, and 4. So you can leave Astral at level 2 and you can Astral and then immediately Meteor Hammer. If you do this, they will basically get instantly stunned coming out of it. And Meteor Hammer does like a heinous amount of damage. It's like 500 damage. I mean, this item is kind of insane if it's reliable, which with OD it is. And then OD as well really doesn't mind not going bottle. What you do is, if the lane is really easy, you go Crown 3 branches, max out on stats, really play to dominate the lane. If the lane is harder, you just go like 4 branches, tangos, and then you just rush a Ring of Health because Meteor Hammer is built from Ring of Health. And you don't need mana because you're passive. I mean, mana's okay because it makes the Q stronger, but you don't need it, right? You certainly don't need it. You take your Q generally level 1 and just harass with it. Or if the matchup's like a melee hero, you can take Astral at level 1 and just use it to deny creeps. It's just such a short duration nowadays where it's like kind of not that good for denying creeps, like sort of, you can like basically mess it up pretty easily. So I'm a big fan of just using the Q off cooldown on the enemy mid. It's like definitely very reliable, or to secure range creeps or melee creeps, you know, if the matchup's a bit harder. Either way, I definitely think OD Meteor Hammer is really damn good. After the Meteor Hammer, you can go a couple of different builds. I've seen Midas just to scale with the Q. Don't take your level 10 talent, max out the Q by level 10, please. It's very important. Can be maxed out even before that nowadays because you don't have to max Astral. So like even before that, max out the Q. Very, very powerful. Because I was saying, from there you can go Midas. Then after Midas, you can go like Pike, and you can kind of go like this attack speed build and scale as a right clicker, like Pike and a BKB into like Moonshard. Totally legit, very strong. After Moonshard, like Hex, you can really go down like a solo killing build. Or you can go a very popular build, which is like the Aether Lens build, right? So you can go Meteor Hammer Axe or Meteor Hammer Aether Lens Axe. And it's great, right? Because the Aether Lens allows you to use the Meteor Hammer combo from far away, making it much harder to get canceled. Because at the end of the day, it's still a 2-second channel time. It's pretty hard to get off. But with the Aether Lens, your ulti does more damage because it's based on, right, your mana differential. And on top of that, your Q does more damage with Aether. So it's really just like a good item for right clicking and your ulti damage. And it allows you to cast your Astral and Meteor Hammer from, you know, much further away. So all of these things are big benefits to going the Aether into the Ags. After Ags, you can go Octarine and like just have a ton of mana, making your Q and ulti very strong. But like then you just spam Astral. Like this hero can just be an Astral bot. There are games where just spamming Astral is insanely good. And the reason why Ags is good, if you don't know what it is you get 2 charges on Astral Imprisonment, which is very powerful. It increases the damage, so 500 damage. It's a 500 damage nuke on what's the cooldown? 12 seconds, and you get 2 of them. So every 12 seconds you do 1,000 damage, and it steals 22% of their mana. You can save teammates with it, and it takes people out of the fight for 4 seconds. So this Ags is one of the most broken Ags in the game. Then you have your Shard, which buffs the mana capacity steal on Astral. It buffs it from, what is the base? 22 to 27%. So you get an extra 5% mana capacity steal, which is like more than you would imagine. And then also, when you Astral your teammates, they can move at 60% movement speed, allowing them to kite out. It's like this hero playing around Astral is incredibly good. It's like ridiculously powerful in the right game. And on top of that, OD dominates a lot of mid heroes, and I mean a lot of mid heroes. It dominates Ember, Pango, Tusk. It beats all the Storm, as far as I'm concerned, beats him. So it has a lot of strong matchups, scary hero. And yeah, that's all for today's mid-tier list. I'll see you guys on the next one. Lama. Peace.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.